Hi, I'm Chip, and here's a video on how to rebuild a Whirlpool direct drive transmission. Stay tuned. What you see here is a Whirlpool direct drive transmission. It's a marvel of modern engineering and one of the best things that Whirlpool ever invented. It allowed them to build machines that lasted over 30 years, and there are still a lot of machines still out there in the public using this type transmission. One of the things that can fail on this is the neutral drain, and what that means is between the agitate and the spin cycle, the machine is supposed to pause, drain the tub of water, and then pause one more time, shift itself into a gear to spin the clothes dry. If the neutral drain has failed, what will happen after the agitate cycle, it will pause and begin to drain, but at the same time it will start spinning. So it's spinning a basket full of water, which is really heavy and hard on the clutch and the motor itself. The wash cycle may end and your clothes are still going to be spun dry, but it's really a bad strain on this machine and needs to be fixed. Many people don't even know this until their clutch fails. So today I'm going to show you how to change a neutral drain on a Whirlpool direct drive transmission. The first thing to do this job is you have to take this case off, and there's abundance of screws around it. Each one needs to be taken off, and don't lose them. And for this job I've made a special tool. I've taken a 5-gallon bucket and I've used some 2x2s, and I placed them over the bucket at the right distance to hold one of these transmissions, and I traced lines around the 2x2s, and I cut them out on the bandsaw and then attached them right inside the rim of the bucket so that the transmission can rest on there. And this makes it really easy because once I take the case off, I can tip the transmission over and let the old oil drain in the bucket. For this particular transmission, the oil that was in there looked like it was almost brand new, so I didn't change the oil in this transmission. I just added to it. So I used a putty knife to break the seal, and you just slide the cover up the shaft and lay it to the side. And this exposes the inner workings of the transmission. Right here you can see the spin gear, and it's put together with a snap ring and a metal washer. So underneath this large gear are several components that work together to make the transmission pause, go into neutral, drain the water out of the tub, and then pause again and shift itself into the spin mode. And you can see there's a rack retainer, and you have the spin gear and then a spin pawl which flies up and catches on the spin gear. And there's a button there that every time the spin gear comes around, it will hit that trip lever and work with the gears in the in the spin gear cam to count off how many revolutions that gear has to make before it catches. Then you have your spin gear hub, your trip lever, your spin gear cam, and a latch. A latch is a weighted metal piece that flies out and makes these work. And you have 3 spin gear bosses, and on one of the bosses there is a little button that catches that lever. Now here I'm about to take the spin gear off, and you'll notice I put on some protective gloves. This is some really bad smelling oil. You don't really want to get this on your fingers, and so to take this snap ring off, you always put your finger over the shaft, because if you don't, you'll lose that snap ring every time. I've lost so many of them in my life and never have been able to find them. So always be protective of that snap ring. And just lift that old spin gear off, and underneath you put aside this metal washer because you're going to need that again. You can throw the old plastic gear away. And underneath you'll see all the parts in the neutral drain kit. There's the little catch lever and the spin pawl and all the pieces you need. So there's one bolt that holds them all in, and it is under that spin pawl. That spin pawl just lifts off that Allen screw, and you can lift the pieces out, and you can throw them away because they're not usable again. Next, you're going to have to take this plate off, and you'll use an Allen wrench, and I always take a screwdriver, and there's a little depression or notch in this plate that you can put your end of a screwdriver in and jam it up against that pinion gear. And the new Allen bolt will have some Loctite on it, blue Loctite. These two holes here in the corner. You can see that. You need to match that plate with the other. There's two plates in here, and one of them doesn't have the two holes. And this is the one you want right here. And that hole will line up just like that. That's the most common one that you'll find. Every now and then you'll find one uses the other plate and it's got a different Allen bolt, different size. I usually dump this grease out, but this grease, this oil, gear oil, and you torque it. You torque it till your knuckle pops, and then I just tighten up. Now the magic of this thing is actually underneath this wheel. If you'll see this part here, it slips on this wheel. Whirlpool put out a technician's pamphlet on this on the workings of this contraption, and it's really fascinating. Now, when you put these back together, they'll be marked with the word up on the parts. Make sure you put all those parts up. So this part, it's been tall, sits on the Allen bolt. And this part, make sure it says up. It will fit right here on this pin. Right, and it's got a little tit on the bottom side of it that fits in this square hole right here. So then it's like this. And this weight, It's up right here. It fits on this other pin right here. I swear that looks bent. No. Not bent. And now when you put your gear on there, make sure this piece is on. It's got a spring on it, that little black thing, and then it slides. And this piece right here will fit in that little slot there. And when you put this on, you hear clicking. You want to turn it to make sure it catches. Do all that, you got everything right. Okay, here all I did was I put the metal washer back on the spin gear, and then the snap ring, making sure that I didn't lose that snap ring. And I'll add some gear grease to it. I put the gear grease on top of that spin gear to make sure it covers the gears. And I'll also refill the reservoir. They have a little shelf there on the left hand side that you should fill the gear grease up to that shelf. You don't want to fill it level full, because it'll just weep out there's a hole in the top of the casing, will weep out of that. You don't want to do that. And of course I'm cleaning a little debris off the edge where the cover plate will fit down. And if you have any leftover sealant from the prior job, you need to take a putty knife and scrape that loose too. This one I had done before. I was just cleaning it. Put some goop on this thing. You want to get your oil resistant goop. Put a small bead on it, not much. These things are pretty flat and they'll fit together tightly, and squeeze this stuff out. And you want to put them on the inside of the holes, because that's where the oil would leak. If you put it on the outside, it'll leak up through the bolt. And fit it down back on the oil seal. Line the holes up. I'll put this thing back together, and then we'll get back to rebuilding our washer. See you on that side. Now we gotta reassemble before we go too far. Let's put a new clutch assembly on it. There's two pieces here. Take this keeper. There it goes. And it's got a little thing fits is got a groove to, all these 4 hits, and it fits down in there, but you have to pry it in with a screwdriver. Let me do that. Put the camera down and do that. And this is what a completed transmission looks like with the clutch put back on it. All you need to do now is install it in your washing machine. And you do know how YouTube operates. If you like and subscribe to this channel, YouTube will present it to more people like you that may need to know this information. And I would appreciate it. It helps my channel grow, and I like to do this. So anyway, I'll catch you on the next one.